So I actually recorded this video yesterday and went down a completely different route because the last 24 hours have been ridiculous and there's so much that has gone on regarding coronavirus, not only in non-league football but right across the country, right across the world really, football-wise. So it's pretty ridiculous and very, very unique situation. I've never seen anything like this. We're going to look into how it's impacting non-league football. There's been a big call made today by the National League in terms of playing their games this weekend and going forwards rather than postponing them like pretty much every other league has done in the land. But yeah, we're looking into it right after this. This video is sponsored by OneFootball, who offer a great service to up to date with lots of different news. Well, there's not a lot of fixtures going on over the next few weeks, but there'll probably be plenty of news, particularly regarding coronavirus in football. OneFootball can help you stay up to date with all of that news, and also when the upcoming fixtures will be rearranged for and what's going to be happening in terms of finishing a lot of the seasons for all of these different clubs. But yeah, if you haven't downloaded it yet, remember to click the link in the top line of the description to go and download it. So today is Friday the 13th of March. Yes, an unlucky day, and it's been a very, very unlucky day for the world of football. Started off pretty much with the Football League postponing all of the games up until the first weekend in April. Now this is having a big impact on the seasons because obviously we're now so close to the end of the season, and that is taking away 3 or 4 match days, which have then got to be filled in potentially after the end of the current season. That is only postponed until the start of April as a starting point. That could obviously definitely be extended if coronavirus continues to get a lot worse than it currently is. The Premier League followed suit with this, as has been rumoured. They cancelled all of their games up until the start of April as well. This isn't even playing games behind closed doors like has happened during the last week with some Champions League and Europa League games, but this is physically just cancelling these games. Some clubs, for example Liverpool, have closed down their training grounds, so no one's going to be doing anything for the next few days or weeks. This is obviously to try and stop the spread of coronavirus. Upon the time of this video being recorded, there are 798 cases of coronavirus in the UK. It's spreading very quickly and the world is going into panic and taking a lot of precautions. Sporting events right across the globe have been cancelled, but the UK government have said that there isn't a need to cancel sporting events or play them behind closed doors. However, obviously the Premier League and the Football League have gone against that and cancelled their games. This is probably the responsible thing to do, but doing so has set the precedent for the leagues below into non-league. As the hours went on throughout the day, a number of different leagues also followed suit and said that their games were cancelled, and there's only a few leagues that have remained with games on. Most notably, the Vanarama National League, the National League, National League North and National League South. All of the games this weekend will continue and go ahead. Apart from Solihull versus Harrogate, which was due to happen tonight, but due to 4 people at Harrogate self-isolating because of coronavirus symptoms, that game has been requested to be postponed, and that has happened. But with the rest of the 3 leagues having games continuing this weekend, does open up the debate of whether it was the right or wrong thing to do, because it's a bold move by the National League, whatever way that you look at it. There's some different people that have had different opinions, mostly people saying that this is probably the wrong thing to do because there is a responsibility to public health. This puts the health of players, staff, supporters at risk. If there's any sort of outbreaks or incidents at these games, that is obviously going to have a really bad impact on the reputation of the National League because they made this call for the games to go ahead. The easy thing for them to do would have been to have just followed suit with the Football League and Premier League and just cancel the games. But there are a lot of points to the contrary that I think are really important. First of all, are that football clubs really do need to survive, and that every business can't just be completely cancelled and cancel absolutely everything because of the coronavirus. Ultimately, the chances of dying from the coronavirus and even contracting it are still very, very low. There's only 10 people currently in the UK that have died of the coronavirus, and as I said earlier, less than 1,000 currently that have contracted it. That number will obviously rise, as will the number of deaths, so the aim is to try and contain it. But will cancelling absolutely everything and making people just stay at home, will that stop everything? The government, whether rightly or wrongly, has said that they don't believe that all sporting events should be cancelled. Obviously it makes sense that the large scale ones like in the Premier League should be cancelled, but as you go down further down into the lower leagues, there are fewer and fewer people attending games. The grounds are a lot less densely populated. Obviously at the higher levels, if you've got, for example, a 70,000 capacity stadium in the Premier League, chances are you're going to sell the majority of the tickets, if not all of the tickets for that game. You're going to have big crowds of people outside the ground, then into the ground, a lot of people in sort of close proximity to each other. Whereas if you go down into non-league, you might have an attendance of 400 at a game in the National League North, where the ground holds 4,000. People are generally going to have the opportunity to be quite spread out. There's not going to be huge crowds outside the ground either. So the risk overall, though it is still there, is a lot lower than it is at the higher levels of the game. The coronavirus is very bad, especially for people who are elderly and those who have underlying health conditions. They're the most at risk, but the majority of the population are not so at risk. Look at the likes of, for example, Mikel Arteta and Callum Hudson-Odoi, two big names that in the last 48 hours have been diagnosed with the coronavirus. However, both of them are now feeling better, but they've still got to self-isolate for a week. As a result of Arteta having the coronavirus, Arsenal have had to pretty much go into lockdown and self-isolate, and the panic that this coronavirus is causing is huge, and in my opinion the media is making things a lot worse. The necessity to try and have clicks on news stories and gain attention to their news sites is massive, and this is only making the public fear a lot bigger, and in my opinion a bit more unnecessary than it really needs to be. Yes, you need to be vigilant and be aware and wash your hands and do everything that the government tells you to do to try and prevent the spread of coronavirus, but the media is making it so much worse. People are going and panic buying pasta and toilet roll and baked beans. Why is this? It's crazy. And for me, cancelling sporting events comes into that. You can't just cancel absolutely everything. You can't just literally grind the world to a halt. There are so many businesses that are already struggling as a result of the coronavirus. People that just don't want to spend their money, or they don't want to do certain things, and it is literally turning the world upside down, and the whole country currently is going to be massively affected. Regardless of whether it's football or not, the media is having a massive impact. That being said, I hope that everyone, if anyone has coronavirus symptoms, is very sensible with it, and if you are tested positive for it, that I hope you do make a full and quick recovery. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. Do you think that the National League were right to get their games on over this weekend? It'll be interesting to see what sort of crowds happen at these games, because it could go one of two ways. Either the crowds could be massively increased because people want to go and watch non-league football, or National League, National North and National League South games, because games at pretty much every other level are postponed. It could be the other way of the fans that would be going to the games anyway are now just scared to go to these games and don't really want to go out of their houses. I think it's kind of difficult to predict which way it's going to go. It could go either way. But yeah, I hope to see you next video, and thanks for watching.